Moss and Peters are going to take this conversation very seriously, so be relatively prepared for it. Peters dropped the, I know your time, you think your time is more valuable than mine. I'm not dealing with that shit. I'm not. This is a very, I can't stress this enough. This is a very serious topic. So I'm probably going to be very stern in regards to it. Turner, I'm letting you know just so you start to get some semblance of where I'm coming from. Though I'm sure I don't want you to be taking my side. Rather, I'm letting you kind of see what I'm dealing with, but I want you to also kind of observe what is about to come, because I could use your consultation as well back.
As an FYI,
you will get an unbiased opinion from me.
Beautiful.
She was discussing this while you weren't there yet, and
which is what?
The prospect of no longer being chief.
Yeah, so for me, the disheartening piece of this is, okay, so let's bring some context, right? When the Saturday situation happened, we had Moss's go-to, Stevie and Trig, fucking around while the city was melting down, right? Yeah. And all this stuff was happening, so there was no... and my concern here is that instead of recognizing that this is a responsibility that they need to be taking seriously, I think they want to flip it on its head. I do think that, if I'm going to be transparent, I think I think Moss and Daisy, their behavior is indicating that they want out. In fact, yes.
I think
yeah.
To me, it appears they're already out in their head, and then that's why I'm here. But I think you'll get a lot more cooperation from them if they know they're not being removed and replaced.
I would agree with that. My concern is, and in fact, that's how I've kind of felt the last couple of weeks. It to me screams, what is it called? It's called silent quitting. I think they silently quit 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago. And they just do not want, they want someone to relinquish them of their powers rather than them stepping out. Now, I will say that yesterday when I approached Moss originally to have a conversation about the next 3 terms, it started with pre-crying, followed by when I brought up the concerns, she sort of randomly said, it sounds like you need someone for shift 1, so I guess you're going to need a new chief of police. And that wasn't even a part of anywhere near the subject matter. It was kind of like she was hearing what she thought she was hearing and blurted it out, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, so...
It's not a good mental to have, but...
yeah.
She obviously sees it then in... they're not fulfilling the needs of the city.
Right.
So she knows it's not getting done, you know?
Yeah, there's...
Hopefully she's able to pick it up.
Hopefully she's able to pick it up. I think the end of yesterday's conversation was productive. I was very clear on what I'm hoping for. She seemed locked in. But I think this morning, pointing to the entire room that you were going to be the next chief was selfishly a damaging statement to make, right? It's the behavior of burning it down, right?
Yeah.
Because that only means that other offices are going to be, spreading around, hence me making the statement. But let me see what they got to say. And
I'm not sure who was calling me there, if that's the same person.
Yeah.
That's Archibald.
All right.
I'm in a meeting. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Pre-quiet, pre-quitting?
Yeah.
Hey, we're at the monument across from Mission Row, PD. Are you with Peters?
Yeah. Do you want him
All right.
there?
Yeah, come on down.
All right.
All right. Easy.
All right, we're walking over.
Beautiful. See you in a bit.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. All right.
What kind of support has the mayor's office given the department?
Oh my God. It a lot. It is.
Yeah. Did you need us?
Yeah, I just spoke with Moss.
Okay, good. We're doing something. We'll be there when we're done.
Okay. Sounds good.
I mean, low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
We bumped their wages up to give the officers more financial incentive. We've covered their repair costs. I know Nino has provided a lot of oversight. I think you've set a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
Without being micromanaging, I would say. Giving them the autonomy to deliver on what's being asked of them.
I think they want to get fired.
That's already a move in the right direction. My experience of the last mayorship that I was involved with was cutting our pay and making us pay for our vehicle repairs. And
no, they get paid about
not
5 times.
Us.
I give them like maybe 5 to 10 times more than Wayne County. Not only the subsidies, we exhaust dozens of hours protecting them legally. We literally, the marshals try to take over control of the police departments. And we spent, I think, a collective 200 hours fighting that. Went all the way to the feds. Through proper channels.
To figure out marshals, but
Yeah.
it seems like you guys are supporting the mayors or the mayor, you.
Yeah.
Your cabinet is supporting the PD, which is good. I was looking at the damages I saw at the front of that department over there. I was wondering if that's something that's getting worked on.
Well, see, that's part of the problem here, right? So we had someone come in and commit terrorism, and within a span of 2 hours, they had a what do you call it? They had a plea deal with the person that got terrorism. This was their second terrorist attempt on a department for $250,000. They didn't even assess the damages in a timetable.
That's who they?
They being LSPD command, high command. Yeah.
They agreed to the plea deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
who is this that we're meeting with?
this is going to be Chief Moss and Assistant Chief Peters.
I don't believe I've met Peters before.
Oh, yeah.
Moss was definitely a great officer.
Yeah.
When she was hired.
Hey, Sage, how you doing?
Good, and yourself, Nino. I just want to ask a question. I see the stock market is still closed.
The stock market is currently closed because the Chinese broke into the data centers over at the stock exchange, and they attempted to do some market manipulation with a bunch of meme coins. And before they were able to do a rug pull, we managed to step in and thwart it. So over the next couple days, you should be able to hopefully start, withdrawing again.
I want to start withdrawing from the Fleeker. I've got stocks. I don't have meme coin. I actually have stocks that I need to get money out of.
It's all under the same system. You know what I mean?
And yeah. Because I see it's technically it's gone back. All the stocks are sitting.
Sage,
okay, you have a meeting.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a meeting.
All good, boss man. All good, boss man. Just
take care. All right. Take care. Bye. All right. Okay. All right. How y'all doing?
All right. I had a very long conversation with Maxwell this morning, addressing a lot of the stuff that we talked about last night. Also, addressed it with High Command and had them have a meeting with Maxwell.
Okay.
I think we're on the same page now.
Do you mind speaking up there, Moss?
I mean, I would kind of have to yell.
Oh, yeah, we can get closer. It might be the steps. We can go down here. I think the steps might be echoing the, reflecting our voices.
Yeah, but what I said is I had a long conversation with Maxwell. addressing a lot of things we talked about last night. I also relayed expectations to high command and command about communication issues and just taking a more hands-on approach with things. I think Maxwell walked away from it feeling better. I'm just gonna, no offense, Peters, being here right now, I'm talking about you, but I'm just gonna be pretty much on top of Peters and Trig to make sure that they are, meeting those expectations.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's good. So I wanna let's kind of address the elephant in the room. This is Captain Turner. I know Peters. I don't know if you've met him before.
I think I did a long time ago. I don't know if he remembers, but yeah, it was a long time ago.
I don't personally, but either way, pleasure meeting you.
So, first and foremost, this is not your replacement, nor will he ever be your replacement. Turner is here because I myself need help. Equally, he's got a lot of law enforcement experience, and we have some internal discussions within the mayor's office on a number of things. And the first is that I believe it's important that when the mayor's office is interfacing with the LSPD, that we do so we have a lot of side discussions, right? You and I might talk Moss. You and I might talk Peters. I may, talk to Trig about some things. But given the fact that there is nothing like really documented beyond, the thing we worked on, Moss, maybe a month back, there isn't really like a documented set of like expectations, nor are we formally meeting on any kind of cadence. Where I would like to migrate towards is documenting out what our expectations are. And I don't mean at a level where it's like, hey, this person needs this, but very high level expectations, like that we collectively agree on. We come with, here's what we're looking for. You say, okay, that's doable. And we meet up on it every 2 weeks. So that way, you know what we're looking for, and you have a means by which you can kind of communicate it back. And there's no room for confusion. What I may tell you, Moss, may not get communicated to Peters properly. I may talk to Peters. He may not communicate it to you properly. So we're going to sort of document it. I'm calling these LSPD high command missions, or contracts. So anyways, that's something that's going to be developed out in, I think, the next 24 to 48 hours. And some of that is going to be help reviewed with Turner here. In addition to that, why is Turner here? I think with where things are going, I am looking for opportunities where Turner can help provide consultation. That might mean for my office, or alternatively, that may mean for the LSPD. He's a third party, right? He hasn't seen what's happened over the last 6 months. He doesn't have and come with any form of biases. I want him to be a resource for not just me, but for also you guys, to be a support of some kind. And now where that's going to go, we haven't really actually gotten to that point yet. But we'll have a better idea probably in the next coming hours. So, any questions in regard to that? Or pushback?
Moss?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, what are your initial feelings on that?
Oversight? I mean, if you think that's what's best, I think you seem like you got a pretty level head, and
yeah,
I'm not opposed to it at all.
Okay. Now, there are some things that I've been like working through in my mind, right? because you mentioned the word oversight, and I think that would be inappropriate. I don't want... Turner is not somebody who should be coming in here, nor will he be someone who's going to come in and tell you guys what to do. Nor do I think he would be someone that, in the event you have that perception. Nor equally should it be someone like, you know, you've got current sergeants and whatnot that are there. It shouldn't be someone that there is any kind of expectation that Turner is going to tell them what to do. Rather, it's strictly consultation, right? Observation. And those from that observation, providing suggestions back to me, but equally suggestions back to command in some form of documented, like, assessment, right? Rather than any active command-related role or any active field-related role, any of that. I see him more as somebody that would be, you know, once again, observatory rather than demanding a prescription. Make sense?
So, yeah. What you're describing is basically what I've kind of envisioned the marshals should be doing.
Yes.
Is that safe to assume?
Yeah, sure. Like, you're talking about their newer SOPs.
Well, no, from the beginning, what it should have been.
Yeah.
Essentially what they were drafted to do per the Constitution.
I want to be careful saying yes to that, because what my perception of that and what your perception of that might be slightly different. I know that's a direction that Dark and Barrett are now going, but I'm going to leave that to them to let you know. I did review the SOPs yesterday evening, and my understanding is that they want to be a force that is there to be just another officer and play a supportive role on a day-to-day basis. But if that's kind of the vibe you're mentioning, yeah, something along those lines. But
no, no, because I don't know. Well, that's a whole different issue, because I think that raises a lot of sight, because who's oversight for them? I mean,
I don't want to get too ahead of myself with what they're planning.
Okay.
I think yeah. Let's wait until they discuss with you, right? It's their vision, so I don't want to end up like misconstruing it. But once again, you know, we barely had an opportunity, me and Turner, to talk in detail. But whatever we are looking to do here, we are going to propose it your way, and you are free to accept or reject it without any sort of like punitive measure. I'm hoping that this becomes something that you welcome and see the value in. But if you are not comfortable with it, we're not going to impose it on you. And Turner may just end up being one of my consultants within the cabinet otherwise. So.
Moss, you're the chief. You want to talk?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right.
While I was a captain at the LSPD, we had oversight. We had a large amount of people who weren't in touch with exactly what we did and dealt with on a day-to-day basis get involved and give their opinions, and those opinions usually led to changes coming in, being forced upon us. And I told the mayor, no matter what the issue is, if you guys are not on board with it, then it's not something I want to be part of. You need to be on board for it, right? Because this is your department.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not looking to hijack in any way, shape, or form. I want to be just as much of a resource to the mayor as I am to both of you as I am to the mayor.
I appreciate your willingness to help. I think it's very generous and kind of you.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
I don't know. I just kind of, I suppose my thought is that if we are at a point where we need a third party or a consultant, you know, obviously things Janino have, and you know, you kind of use this word earlier, have regressed so far within the LSPD. Does do I make sense in this role anymore? Would it make sense to change in order for the betterment of the department?
I do not believe so. I think
because obviously I'm not doing what I need to be doing if you think you need a third party.
Okay. I think that's I think too extreme of a I mean, so I'll put it like this. I myself have regressed the county at times, right? The BCSO has regressed at times. Blaine County has regressed in times. At the end of the day, each one of us is still human, right? But unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to dice it, there's a heavy responsibility I hold and a heavy responsibility you hold. And indirectly, those under us. So things are going to happen from time to time, as I believe they have over the last couple weeks. And I would like to think y'all have seen that as well. Whether it's why we've, I mean, consider the conversation we had a couple days ago about having to lock in and have clearer oversight on individual officers, right? Or the situations that have that occurred on Saturday. There is regression, but that doesn't mean that it is a catastrophic failure as as chief of police. It's that these issues occurred, and now it is our responsibility to resolve them and have a plan of action. Because otherwise, they're not going to just magically change, right? I'm sure y'all have a plan internally among high command, right? But equally, I myself, being responsible for the LSPD, need to also have a plan. And that includes the communication between y'all and myself. So,
right.
Yeah. So, now,
whatever you think is best.
Okay.
What do you think is best?
I've always thought of the police department as, while Nino is mayor, the police department
this is very unproductive
of Nino's vision for the city. The police department needs to be operating with that in mind. There's definitely things that have happened. There are situations that occur. I don't know if Nino mentioned what happened on Saturday. Saturday, there's really no excuse for any of that. That was a very, I would say a bad or a dark day for the PD as a whole. Is that an everyday thing? No. I think that, you can have 100 incidents that go right, and then you can have one that goes really bad, and what Nino's going to hear about? He's going to hear about the one thing that went bad.
Absolutely.
I think overall, compared to when I started as chief, things have gotten better. I think that the police department is definitely in a better position. But one thing that Nino and I spoke about yesterday is that there is an overwhelming lack of communication between command members, as well as between command and high command, and just within high command, And I think one thing that I addressed this morning is that High Command has to take a much more hands-on approach. One of our High Command members is sick right now, and that it's not his fault he's sick, but it does complicate things a little bit.
True.
I think that there is also this mentality across the police department of when people have an issue, they should address that issue, right? And so everybody's kind of thinking, oh, I'm waiting for that person to come to me instead of just going directly to that person. And it's on both sides, and I've made it clear that the expectation is that Command and High Command need to actively be going up to people, need to be writing with more officers, need to be basically touching base with as many people as they can, rather than writing with their favorites, which we're all guilty of doing. And that if Command has an issue, they can't wait for us to come to them. They need to come to us. I think the biggest issue is communication right now, and one thing I've addressed with Maxwell, she's the Shift 1 lieutenant, is I am planning on having at least weekly, if not multiple meetings or check-ins with her each week, whether that's just a 5 or a 10-minute conversation or something longer, but it needs to happen. I also need to, I think, have those kind of meetings with other members of Command and High Command. I pushed Peters to just, go and there's 5 officers in MRPD right now. Go talk to them and check in with them. See if they need anything. And that way we can kind of stay in touch of what people are working on, how people are feeling. In addition to that, we do have a severe training problem where it is falling exclusively on the lieutenants, on Ruby York and Haley Maxwell, because people just don't want to FTO. And it's gotten to the point where I have to now tell the lieutenants, force seniors and sergeants to take cadets out, because it cannot fall on. They need to focus on running the shift. They can't focus on running P&T and the shift and doing other various tasks all at the same time. Too much is falling on 1 or 2 people, and we need to work on delegating more.
Delegating is very important. It's hard to delegate when you don't have, well, frankly, people you could trust in positions. Is that right?
See, that's the thing, is we do have people.
I'm letting them talk so they can warm up to him.
You do.
I think the sergeants are more than capable. I think the seniors are more than capable. I don't know if it is a lack of initiative or just simply that
they're dying for help is everything their statements are. Because and Turner is massive help.
With good certainty.
But they have to recognize that first and want it.
And said, I need help with this, I truly believe they would drop what they're doing and help. And I think that there is this mindset of, if I ask for help, I'm saying I can't do it by myself, and that's wrong. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help, but people don't want to seem like they can't do it all themselves. I think everybody is so self-sufficient, it's almost to a fault, but then it becomes, like I said, a few people are doing the majority of the administrative work, and that needs to be spread out amongst 10 people that are available to do it,
That's something you're working towards?
That's something, that we need to do. That, I need to go and have the same conversation that I had with Maxwell this morning. I need to have it with Ruby in Shift 2.
This
have been
is a
having,
scary thing that
Captain
this is
Sky.
why
She's
Turners
the
need to hear.
Captain Sky Faye. I don't know if you know her.
The fact that the chief has to go
she's
talk
the-
directly,
she's a
right?
captain, but
and
she's
not
primarily
not
Inter 3.
high command is all
She's
going into
working
her
with
room
Ruby
like
to kind of oversee her and support her and help her. So whether that's I communicate that with Sky or I go directly and have the conversation with Ruby, I need to figure out myself, because it's one of those balancing acts of I've given this task to Sky. I want to let her do it, you know, like it's all about like enabling the people around you, right? And trusting the people around you.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's the point. If I'm not following this, if I'm doing it myself, how can I expect other people to do it?
Yeah. But the thing is, a lot are obviously not, you know, is the issue.
Chief
okay.
Peters? What's your take on
I am the chief's Rottweiler. Whatever she says, I agree with.
Well, that's not how that works.
Well, I mean, unfortunately,
that is not true. We don't agree on everything.
We don't, but I think
so let's take the leash off then, and then hear your opinion on this.
Well, I need permission from my chief. Can I take the leash off?
You say what you need to say.
I am not opposed to bringing someone else in my opinion. Obviously, there's been issues with the police department. They've grown more apparent in kind of the last few weeks, and I don't necessarily see this as we're failing to the point where it's unsalvageable. I think Nino's essentially bringing a possible solution to problems we have in the department as far as people that we don't necessarily trust in our command.
What the fuck?
I don't know. And this is like, I'm not the biggest fan of our command structure, if I'm being 100% honest with you. I
elaborate on that.
I just
oh
am
my
not
God, we're
a
talking
big fan
communication.
I mean, I will go as far as saying kind of like, look, you know, they're given a job, and inside the police department, they're trusted to do certain things, and they're my coworkers, and I'll work alongside of them. But I think, for example, I think Ruby's very passive aggressive. I don't think she makes the right calls in the field again, but I think she does a good job with training. She's always there. She pours her heart and soul kind of into the police department, which I will not discredit at all. I don't think that she has the I don't think she's the best fit for a lieutenant for shift 2, especially when that shift has traditionally been absolute and utter chaos. But you know, I mean, I think
why is she a lieutenant then?
I don't know. That's something you'd have to talk to the chief about.
Oh,
you're the assistant chief. You're number 2. Why?
This Turner,
lieutenant?
Oh my God.
This from my perspective, it's because she puts in a lot of work, and I think she wants to see the police department better, but yeah, I don't know.
Were you on board for making her a lieutenant?
I was on.
This is really healthy.
I was not around when that happened. I was checked the fuck out.
Okay.
I was on vacation. We'll say that.
All right. That's fair.
Okay.
I'm just gathering and asking a couple questions here. You can continue on whenever you want there, Mayor.
No, this is healthy. I think it's like therapy, but you know, it's therapy with Turner. What are y'all's grievance? Please continue, and then I'll.
No, I don't. I was gonna say I don't know. I'm not opposed to somebody else stepping in and kind of like witnessing some of the stuff that's going around. Bring forth a solution is what I was going to say.
Okay. What I'm liking here is that I think, and obviously everyone's got their opinions, right? And they're valid. I think what I'm seeing here is we're getting communication, right? And I think that, let me ask you a question. How can I help you guys? Is there something I can do to better help or communicate? Or is there something lacking from our end that you'd like to see filled?
I will just be very frank. I need you to be careful when you're talking to Maxwell and make sure that you're not dooming to Maxwell.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Is that
because I think she's a fantastic listener, and I am so happy that she feels comfortable speaking to you. But I need you to be careful about putting too much on her. That is kind of what I took from my conversation with Maxwell this morning. Because if you're dooming, she's gonna start to doom.
Okay, was there specifics?
I didn't want to press her too much, your conversations, but I just, that's what I need to ask, if you want to doom, if you want to crash out on me or Peters,
Yeah. Interesting. I don't think she's been asked to do anything outside of, so context, right?
Or crash out on Trig. He's around.
Trig is at this time useless. I'm being honest. He's got brain damage.
Bobby, go do some police work.
So, Trig is look. We're gonna talk plainly, right? Trig was fantastic, and then he got sick, and he's got a tumor. Obviously, that's not in his control, but it's not. Also, it just is. It's not useful, right? And as a consequence of that, and we touched on this yesterday, is Maxwell is the de facto highest ranking member of the police department from before tsunami until probably 8 p.m. Eastern. So any pressure that is going her way is a consequence of that. And whether it's LSPD mayoral things that need to be resolved in the moment, whether it's another explosion happening somewhere, she becomes that de facto voice for the LSPD. And they're I don't know how that's going to be resolvable outside of her time somehow being spread. Now, if I'm reading the concern accurately,
and I think that that's fine. If you need to address something, and Maxwell's the highest rank, obviously, but that is the person. I'm trying to think about ways to make sure, and she's not overwhelmed. She made that clear. She said that she's more than capable. But what I said is that I don't doubt that you're more than capable. I know you are. But just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to. I want to just make sure that she is focused on things that she needs to be focused on, which is ensuring that officers are enabled, that they're doing their job and they're doing their job correctly, and that her command has what it needs to have. And the conversations that we had this morning, ways that we can do that is through high command taking more of a heavy hand in supporting her and supporting command in all shifts and taking some of that off of her. Even though I know she can carry it, I know she can do it, I don't she doesn't have to, you know?
May I ask who Maxwell is? They have lieutenant captain?
She's a lieutenant.
Lieutenant?
Yeah.
And shift 1 is by far our most active shift. And even though we do usually have 2 high command members with an LSPD present during shift 1, a lot falls on her. She is very much the leader of the shift, which is what I wanted. I think that she inspires people to come on duty. You know, I think people are around because of her. But I think also when she isn't around, things can fall apart a little bit. So part of that is I need her to make sure that she is putting time into her command so they can act in the same sort of capacity and be that person when she's not around. She shouldn't have to be around every day. But I think she feels like she needs to be. So it's more focusing on delegation for her and some of the things we talked about last night, Nino.
Yeah.
Trying to set goals for her to kind of have her focus on other things, you know.
Yeah.
I've asked her to set up a meeting with the marshals and see how the marshals and PD can work together. I want to see her on more of that political side and dealing with cross-departmental relations. So she's going to work on setting that up. And, you know, I want to kind of train her up on that area to see how she does.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Did she bring up any particular examples of like dooming and whatnot? So I recognize what that means precisely. Or was that kind of like
that's
your
more
observation?
Of my observation.
Okay.
I think she really values your relationship with her.
Yeah.
Again, I just, you know, people are sponges, right? Like if I'm talking to Peters and Peters is freaking out,
This opinion's going in the.
I have to actively kind of fight.
I co-sign her
that
bullshit, and I take on whatever thing she's freaking out on me.
He takes on my feelings, you know. And you know, I just want to make sure that we are all being positive, like not like what's that word? You know, like when somebody is like positive, but it's actually like kind of not like toxic positivity, but that we are always like solution based, and that we are making sure that we are helping with situations rather than like, oh my God, LSPD is burning, the city is burning, everything's on fire. You know, I want to make sure we're always coming at things from a solution-based or like positive place.
Yeah. I think it's equally important to recognize, you know, going back to my previous statement, right, about her being the de facto leader of LSPD, and in many cases for both departments. And when I say both departments, and I'm talking because I'm here virtually every day and I see it and I hear about these big things, is if it's a shootout somewhere, gang related, if there's a murder, if there's a raid, if there's whatever, right? She's might be the only one collecting evidence. She has got 2 cadets in the car. She's also trying to figure out, like, half of Cyprus is down here, the other half of Cyprus is up there. There's a lawyer, there's a bench trial, etc., etc. And she's taking on that, you know, that pressure from everything because she feels like she has to, like you said. While I'm not sure you're ever going to be able to get rid of that fire, and but rather how does the support structure come into place so she can take off a Saturday and we don't have 5 incidents or 4 incidents that pop off? I'm not saying we answer this right now, obviously, but it's a question to have in the back of everyone's mind, right? It's you know.
Does
I'm
she have a
sorry,
support
I
team?
didn't hear anything you just said.
We recognize that one of the reasons that she has all this pressure is because she is the de facto leader of the LSPD in shift 1 to 2, like 80% of the time. If we look at the last, like, let's say 2 months, right? But she's also having to take on the burden of Blaine County as well when it comes to many, many scenes. I recognize where her passion comes from. I have very similar. The need that you have to do it because no one else will, right? Unless she gets there's a plan to help her get that support structure she needs, but equally pushing towards that herself. Her taking time off or whatever it might be, taking a break or whatever, can lead to a Saturday, right? And I don't have a solution to it, right? Nor do I expect you guys to have a solution to it today. But I hope that, the full scope of things is recognized.
A little bit about that, about the support of her command. She explained to me that, she was concerned about Stevie. That she was under the impression, I don't know what conversations Peters had with Stevie. This is just what was relayed to me from Maxwell. But she was under the impression that Stevie would eventually replace her. I told her that is not the case. By no means will Stevie ever replace Maxwell. The only reason that Stevie would ever move into a lieutenant position is because Maxwell has been moved into a higher position, and we feel like that Stevie is now the appropriate person for that. Stevie is there to support Maxwell. And they did speak earlier, and Stevie did also relay to Maxwell that, she is there to support Maxwell and take some of, the load off of her, which was good. I checked in with her about Viv. She said everything's going good with Viv. The issues that they previously had have been resolved, and she feels good about Viv. I think the main issue that I took is that Maxwell felt like we in high command were not communicating with her, which, obviously it's going to take time, but I think that we have come up with a good plan moving forward.
Okay.
And like I said, I've spoken to Trig and Peters and told them I expect them to be checking in with her every day, even if it's just walking up to her and saying, "What are you working on? How can I help you?" And if they can't do that, well then,
One of the strange things is every time I'm on duty, I literally go to her, Biv, anyone that's in command, being like, and I always say, "Hey, how's it going? Do you need anything?" So I don't know why she doesn't feel support. I mean, obviously she does. Like, I'm not going to discredit her feelings in that. So she doesn't feel supported. So I'm not going to be like, "Hey, I do that already."
I told you,
but
I think it was more Eric than you. She specifically said Eric.
Yeah, my observation, and I used to be this way a long time ago, is there can sometimes be a feeling of a burden, right? Like if I had like 20 different things on my plate that I felt like I needed to do, and I needed to do it, otherwise it wouldn't get done right. And if someone came and said, "Hey, do you need any help with that?" I may respond with, "No, I got this." Not because I don't need the help, but I'm not recognizing I need the help, or I don't want other people to think I'm incapable of doing it on my own. You get what I'm saying? So that, and this isn't like specific to just her. This is, you know, this is pretty common, you know, in a workforce, right? So I will use my own example. We were working with Corolla at the court center. She helps work it. And she took on a ton of burden over at the court center that we weren't aware about. And we started to notice that she was always at the court center doing a bunch of things that we didn't even need to do yet. But she felt like a feeling of, I need to do all this or it might fail, or like someone's asking me for this. I need to do all these obligations that aren't, let's say, necessary. And when I would ask, hey, do you need help or whatever, she would say, no, I got this. But I knew from observation that she was breaking, right? And we had to step in and bring her the support structure she needed. And she eventually came to it, and things are in a better place, right? It's just, I think
yeah, I also told Maxwell, and like I think she is utilizing chain of command to an extent, but I need her to really utilize chain of command, you know, to delegate and to pass off to the sergeants and seniors. And a lot of people go to her because they trust her, you know, and because she always makes herself available. But we need to, I think, redirect people's mindsets that it isn't appropriate to go to the lieutenant about a small issue that a senior officer can handle. You know, they need to be going to the senior officers.
Randomized, think of the 58 months.
I also told her that, you know, if we need additional sergeants in shift 1 to better support her and the officers, that's what we should be doing. Who is over there right now?
Is someone over there?
Yeah, someone with binoculars.
Oh, okay. They're hiding.
Pink helmet?
It's Trig.
Yeah.
A pink helmet's Trig?
Yeah. You want to meet him? I mean,
before we do,
I was gonna ask Turner.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on what we have rambled on about for the last hour?
Well, in my personal experience, if somebody's trying to take everything on themselves and keep saying that they're all right, they don't trust the people they're around to help them out. I think it's a matter of whether they believe they need help or not. I don't think they trust them.
I love Turner.
In my experience,
this is why we brought him.
Or they believe they could do a better job than anyone else, and you know, that's.
I use this example with Peters a lot. Like, in Peters, you admit you're not very good at delegating. You've gotten better, but you still need to work on it. Peters is
Moss,
so
you're not that good
at
either.
What he does that I think he gets into the mindset of I know I can do this right, even though another person, I know I can do this right, so I'm just gonna do it. And I think a lot of people have that mindset.
I mean, if I could do it the best, why am I going to have you help me, right? It's not too far fetched. I've definitely dealt with it myself too, but it's trust. It's trust.
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell needs to trust the people around him. Hand it off. Maxwell, you said was a lieutenant?
Mm-hmm.
Does Maxwell have sergeants?
She has 2.
She has 2 sergeants.
She is Stevie Hale and Vivian Gray.
It's crazy because he's recognizing what Nino's been recognizing, and we haven't spoke about these. This is why the third party is good.
How do they
right?
work together? I think that Vivian has been around longer than Stevie. I think from what I've seen, Vivian and Maxwell are a little bit closer than Stevie. Stevie is the most recent sergeant. I think maybe she was promoted within the last month. I let Maxwell decide who she wanted. You know, she just said, I'm gonna promote this person. I said, okay, you do it, go for it. Because I want her to obviously feel ownership of her shift and her command. But I don't know that it's quite I don't see. The thing about lieutenants, right, is lieutenants manage the sergeants, but I don't know that they're being managed.
Do the sergeants understand, or I'm sorry, the lieutenants understand their role? Do they understand that they are to watch those sergeants? Is that made clear?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it comes down to she already has so much on her plate that the part of her job of managing
I'm starting to realize
the sergeants is
Moss
maybe
can't
not
delegate.
happening as much as it
Peters
should be.
can't delegate. So therefore everyone under them thinks that is getting the resignation of not knowing how to delegate.
But yeah, I think that is probably an area that needs to, be worked on.
Have you talked to Maxwell directly about delegating
Oh yeah.
responsibilities to sergeants?
Yes.
And what's the exact
How
response
the fuck?
that Maxwell's given?
Jesus. Look at the timing of that.
This morning. I think the fact that I'm trying to think about what the response was, I don't think that there was much of a response.
And part of this is, you can see it right here, is that Moss is having to answer this
but
because between her and everyone else, they're not doing their job.
No, they're taking it in.
They're just comforters,
They don't necessarily
pillows.
give you a clear, concise, like
Cushions
yes or no or feedback
to keep from Moss
it.
from falling over. But what she really needs is people doing what she's having to do.
Conversation went.
But they won't.
And again, sometimes I have a little bit of a fishbowl memory, but I don't remember a specific response to that.
Okay. No, it might be good to try to push them that direction. But who's their captain? Maxwell's captain. Do you have captains?
Yes. So we currently have two captains. Eric Trigg is the captain that's primarily around during shift 1.
In Kelmet? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Skyfae is around during shift 3. Peters, the assistant chief, he is primarily around during shift 1 as well. And then I'm more around during shift 2.
I love Nikes. I do.
Okay, so who would?
I want to be clear, but
who would?
Nino with Trig right now. He loves Trig. It's like he's got a tumor, bro.
Peters.
Peters. Okay.
How's he gonna do
Peter,
it?
have you talked to her, Peters, about delegation or anything of this?
No, I mean, I haven't. I try to ask if she needs help, but as far as delegation goes, I think a lot of this is not stuff that has been, I mean, maybe it's been overlooked. It hasn't been brought to me in the past, so.
You think that's something you'd be able to tackle? I feel like if you're
yeah,
the one who's always
I think
around.
we've already kind of like stated that we're already. I mean, I did speak with her this morning, and
tackling it. Yeah. Yeah. Nino brought up a lot of this to me last night, and the first thing I did this morning was I went and I met with Maxwell.
Okay. I guess you got to give him a chance, or a realistic chance to improve. give me direction.
No,
Doesn't happen overnight.
this is not an overnight thing. This
Yeah.
is, this is going to be something that has to be reinforced over time, you know. Letting go of the reins is, especially when, you have a tight grip on it, is not going to happen after one conversation. It's going to have to happen over like the multiple check-ins, like that I said that Maxwell and I will now be doing every week. Communication from Trig and Peters, that reinforcing it over and over again, that she can and should delegate, and that she has that support.
Absolutely. I think that's good. Can't really ask for more right now.
Okay.
Adjustments need to be made once you don't start seeing results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey. Okay. All right. Well, look.
I mean, we've spent a lot of time on shift 1. Shift 2 with Ruby is, I think, a whole different situation. I know that there's questions about Ruby's leadership and like her ability to lead shift 2. Part of the reason why I put her in the position of lieutenant is because, in my opinion, she was already doing it. She is probably the most consistent person that we have in shift 2. As far as like her time on duty and the things that she takes on in dealing with internal issues, and as well as overseeing P&T for shift 2. But I will say Ruby does not get near enough support that she probably needs.
I want to ask a pretty hard question here. You said there wasn't many people filling that position. Was Ruby promoted due to there not being any other candidates?
No,
because she actually fulfilled the role.
because I think she is. My personal opinion is Ruby was already leading that shift, and making her a lieutenant was
that
a
infers that
she
there's active sergeants, though.
There were issues, and maybe still are. Because Peters has brought this up to me. Ruby can be passive aggressive, and Ruby is not our biggest fan. She's just not.
Towards both of you?
Both of us, yeah.
Wait, what?
Is that because of her past experience?
Ruby used to be the assistant chief of police.
Right.
I was brought in, and I think that there was a lot of resentment.
That's new info. What the fuck?
And, there were a number of situations where she had a very negative attitude about everything. And, over several months, I watched her work. I watched her attitude. We had conversations with her about it. I saw improvement. I saw the way that she was operating in shift 2, and things were genuinely getting better in shift 2. We went from very few officers. It's still low numbers in shift 2.
I like Viv a lot
better than it was, and I think a lot of that has to do with Ruby York. Yeah, Ruby does rub people the wrong way sometimes, but also I think Ruby does so much good and really puts, like Peter said, like her heart and soul into that shift. And if I expected perfection from every person in, command and high command, we wouldn't have anybody in high command or command.
I could agree with that. That mindset. As long as they're improving towards perfection, right? You never get there, but you always strive for it.
Mm-hmm. And there were some issues that were brought to our attention recently, in which I pulled Sky into to address with Ruby, and those were addressed, and feedback was given to her. I need to check in with Sky again and make sure that she is overseeing Ruby and that Ruby has what she needs. But I haven't seen Sky in shift 2 lately, so I need to make sure that she is actively. Sky is shift 3, right? But I need to make sure that she is going into shift 2 and regularly checking in with her. And if she can't do that, that's okay. We just need to find, like, either myself or somebody else needs to do that. But I don't want Ruby to feel like she's on an island. And from everything I can tell, it does seem that way. But equally, I need Ruby to reach out to us because there is no communication coming from Ruby either.
That sounds like a conversation there needs to happen.
Yeah.
As well.
This is. There's a like
Chief
this.
Peters.
This is literally
Same
Max
question.
well
Just
as
call me
well.
Tyler or Peters.
All right, Peters.
Ask a question.
They can't wait for people.
you
They
believe
need
Ruby
to.
was promoted
You can't be waiting for
necessity?
someone to reach out.
Best candidate?
No, I mean, this is my whole thing is, and I mean, I'm going to speak freely here. I think she was just promoted because she was there. Nobody else was stepping up. From my perspective, we have people not coming into shift 2 because of Ruby.
So,
I don't know. I'm not
clarify,
what?
You're saying people aren't showing up because of her, but then Moss is saying that people are showing up because of her.
Ruby?
I think he's referring to Opal and Frost.
Opal, Frost. I don't think On Fire gets along with her. I think there's like a whole kind of like.
I was
Like,
in a.
has On Fire said this, or is this what you're saying?
I mean, I tried to talk to her about it yesterday, but she's on fire. It didn't seem like she was the biggest fan of.
We need to actually get that feedback if that is the case.
Yeah.
I need you to talk to Sky, Peters, because
I haven't seen Sky. I don't have an.
well, I need you to reach out to Sky, and I need you to get Sky on this because Sky is supposed to be overseeing Ruby.
Wait, Moss told me yesterday she's
no
watching over the
ma'am,
shift.
but if you're saying that you're around late shift 2 and I'm early shift 1,
said
wouldn't
it.
it make more sense if you do that?
Yes, but Sky has said that she wants to take on this task, so I'm trying to delegate. This is the whole point, Peters, is delegating.
Right, I understand, but if I'm not around and you are, what's the point of
But
delegating?
if you are going and you are saying these things, then we need to get somebody to get this feedback. And we've already addressed this situation with Ruby. We already addressed the Opal and the Frost situation. The On Fire thing is new, so we need to figure out what's going on with that.
Turner, say
You want me
something.
to be honest what I think happened with Frost and On Fire? I think they were fucking around in shift 2. Ruby told him to stop, and they got upset about it. That's what I think happened.
That's a big assumption.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think
if their mindset is, a lieutenant told me to stop fucking around, I'm not going to go in that shift anymore, I'm kind of like, fuck them. That is such a bad attitude.
What'd you do with
It
them?
is such a bad attitude to have.
I mean,
They should respect her authority as lieutenant.
right, but the thing is, if did you get their side of the story? I mean, without getting everyone's side of the story, we're essentially doing what we complain about.
I know that it's already been addressed with her and brought to her. I'm just addressing it because you brought it up. But that Sky got both sides of the story, and Sky talked to me about it, but it was like a couple weeks ago, so fishbowl memory.
Sky's also gonna lie to protect Frost.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, which leads me to the next thing, Sky. Like, I don't know. I feel like Sky's had her own agenda this entire time and hasn't been the biggest fan of us, but I don't know.
Why do you believe she's not the biggest fan?
There was just like open vocalization or stuff I heard about her not wanting us. I think that when we came into the position we did, there was a lot of resistance to us being kind of command, and we had people actively working against us to make sure that we failed. And I think one of the things that ended up happening is we ended up cracking down.
It's crazy that as mayor, I understand some PD relationships significantly more than
Sky's friends.
It seems like they do, and that's crazy, man.
I think it ended up kind of
like it's very obvious.
And she kind of
you can't not be friends, but you have to factor it in.
Damn thing,
people are going to protect themselves.
Yes,
that's okay.
Openly, I don't.
You have to factor it into the decision-making observation and stuff.
Either of us. I think she does it strictly to maintain her rank.
Do you believe she's putting on a facade?
I mean, the thing is, like, I don't have any evidence to necessarily back that. You know what I mean? I mean, that's my gut feeling, but okay. Do I know for a fact? Is it true? No.
Okay.
And then with that comes like protection for Ruby, and I mean, I don't know. I like the whole Ruby thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. It seems like your command staff has, you know, from your perception, there's a few people in your command staff that you believe may have some sort of I don't know if it's grudge is a word or some sort of feelings towards you. Is that right? Is it just 2 of them, or is there more of them?
I think there's just a lot of people in the police department. Not only the LSPD, I think the BCSO as well, that just fucking hate me.
Why? Why you?
Because I'm an asshole? I don't know. I rubbed them the wrong way. I pissed off their friends. I think I have a tendency to I can be.
You go out of your way to be an asshole?
No, I don't think I go out of my way to be an asshole.
That's the way you are?
I think it's if I'm...
Boss, is he an asshole?
I don't think he is an asshole in the sense of malicious. I think he can just be like a dick sometimes.
He's a bit brash.
I don't think he's ever malicious though.
I think
I
don't think he does. I don't think he even rubs people the wrong way. I think he can just be a little bit brazen with his words sometimes. But like I said, I don't think Peters is malicious. I think everything that he does is with the intent to better the police department. And sometimes Peters forces people to have to do their job and to try.
Exactly.
People don't want to fucking do their job.
I think it's important to highlight that being brass or being labeled as an asshole is another word of leadership. Yeah, sometimes you got to kick a donkey.
I'm definitely for that. Absolutely. People gotta perform. So, if they don't perform, you know, they're gonna get Peters.
I think Peters is not afraid to tell it how it is and speak his mind. And you know, sometimes people take that the wrong way, but it's never like I said with malicious intent. It's always with the intent to help them succeed. But yeah, like if you're fucking up, he's gonna tell you that too.
Are there people that do a good job?
But honestly, I would say when people have fucked up, you've always been really good about it. You're not a dick about it. You're always empathetic and you try to help them improve.
Yeah, I think I just got a bad there was a bad stigma. Like when I was an officer, I like to fuck around, and I did a lot of shit that was kind of like, I rode the line a lot, and then once I was put into the position of command, I think that kind of like stuck with me, and people held it over my head, even though as command I haven't done anything that I would necessarily have my like. Actually, even when I was an officer, I mean, I did do some dumb shit, but it was never, no one ever fucking fired me. I mean, the first thing that ended up happening was, like,
I think they're noticing the value he's bringing.
And the marshals did an investigation, and they tried to remove me. But
PD therapist, this has been very healthy. That's why I haven't been talking. He's providing alternative self-reflection. Now imagine if he's also in the PD, listening to comms, seeing things.
You want my honest opinion? You want my honest opinion on what happened after you guys, like the last kind of like leadership took off or was done? I think, yeah. So I think, and I don't know, I could be wrong. I think Barrick assumed the position along with, or after everything that happened with Max, Barrick and Ruby were appointed. I think Barrick was limited to what he could and couldn't do. No. And then he just checked the fuck out.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Went and made sex phone calls in the hills. I don't know if that's, again, this is all kind of my observation.
You say sex phone calls?
Yeah, he's a big sex phoner.
I see.
But anyway, I mean, he would go into the hills and kind of like check out, wouldn't be on duty. Ruby was the ass chief, and she would be around, but was very kind of like passive aggressive. And they ended up kind of, were you in the meeting today?
I was.
Where Carmine ended up, I mean, he made a point of like, you know, he wants to promote people based on merit instead of it being kind of like nepotism. I ultimately think that the previous high command put people in positions that they had a history with and they were friends with. And when we came in, it was a disruption to everything that was going on, and people had reservations and didn't like it. And instead of trying to conform to it, they tried to bring back the old guard, I guess their sense of the old guard, and tear everything down from the inside. And ultimately what happened with me is because Moss and I came in and tried to change some things, we were just met with crazy resistance. It's gotten a lot better, but I mean, we still get it here and there.
How many people do you fire in the process?
So we demoted a bunch of people, and we kind of did, we did like a little bit of restructure. We fired a few people, but the very first one we ended up firing, who I think is an amazing officer, who's now his deputy, is Callista Bell, because she openly, we just basically told people like, you guys need to get on board or we're going to fucking fire you. And we had a meeting with her, and she basically said, look, like, I don't agree with you guys. I'm going to do everything I can to get you guys impeached. And we're like, okay, well, see you later.
Yeah.
Right, so you thought this person was a great officer, and then they wouldn't get on board, and they openly said they're going to try to get you impeached.
Uh-huh.
What was their reasoning for that?
I don't know. That's the thing. Because the marshals had an investigation against me, and everybody thought I was going to be fired. And I think, again, I think people were very content with the command structure, and I think there was a lack of police work being done at the time, whether it was people just having basic knowledge or being able to have a simple conversation with citizens in Los Santos. Like, I think collectively there was a huge problem, and it wasn't being addressed. And obviously it's like, you know, you've got this command system in play, we come into play, Nino sees a problem with it, puts us in there, and then we try to change it, and that's the problem they have a problem with.
Yeah. Keep in mind that this was in conjunction with 2 county jurisdictions, and the aim to give LSPD true authority over the county, and you know, be a representation of the people's desires.
The mass exodus that followed.
Yes.
Of officers from the LSPD to the BCSO via transfer.
Yeah. I think a lot of
it wasn't even mass though. It was like 6 or 7.
Sure. Yeah. In fairness, yes.
And it got blown out of proportion, and people were like, we're leaving because we don't like this department.
Yeah.
And I mean, ultimately, like the same thing happened in the BCSO. It's like, here's the thing, Turner. half these motherfuckers don't even understand like Tennessee versus Garner. Like yesterday I had to fucking, and I mean, it's like I mean, never mind. I'm gonna get off topic. It's just, it fucking blows my mind because there's like a lack of training and knowledge. And I do think it's across the board. I don't think LSPD is faultless in its kind of like ways or whatever it is. But we were met with this resistance, and part of the issue was previous high command, be it BCSO or LSPD. And I mean, I don't fucking know, but ultimately Moss and I came in, and people have all these issues with us. I think they're without blame and need to get rid of us. So, I mean, I'm going way off topic, but yeah.
Keep in mind they absorb some of the demons surrounding me, right? And I'm sure you've seen this before, Turner, right? There's a lot of allegations coming my way in relation to a whole lot of things. So whether it was Moss, whether I appointed somebody else, they were going to get challenged because of who appointed them, as opposed to what they were actively doing. I mean, there was 2-3 months where Peters could do the mildest thing, like run a red light, and the other department politically would contact the marshals, and he'd have drones following him around. Like it was a virtual, like it was Minority Report taking place.
It's still happening though. Like it's still happening more so in the BCSO now, because I think people just realize, are your hands okay?
Yeah, just getting a little stiff here.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm right.
Okay. I mean, you still see it happening in the fucking BCSO, and Radich is a perfect example. Like somebody else has put in. People don't want things to change. They're content with just coming on duty and hanging out with their friends, which I have a fucking huge problem with, right? We're all here to do a job. And one of my big things I always bring up is you applied for a job that has things you have to do every single day. Like you are not here to hang out with your friends. Like ultimately we are to provide a service to the city, whether it's to protect and serve. I mean, traffic stops, whatever it is you have a group of individuals who come on duty to strictly hang out with their friends. And I'm like, fuck, like, you shouldn't be doing that. And I've been trying to fucking lock down on that shit. But now going over to the Radich stuff is Radich is put into place. And when he makes a call, his command is
Sheriff of Blaine County.
Yeah, I mean, his command is ultimately saying, like, if you don't do what we want, we'll overthrow you and you're a dictator. Moss could talk more on that. She told me about it.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
So to give you a little bit of background on how this all came up.
I got to think about something for 2 seconds.
Currently, the way that things work,
I think they're warming up to him, guys.
LSPD disciplines.
This is good. Edis, thank you for the 7 months. I think it's good that I was clear cut. He's not chief. He's here to be an outside perspective. He's got experience. Utilize him.
There was an issue.
You know what I
mean? We tried to basically enable our jurisdictional authority over Los Santos County. BCSO was upset about it. It was a very volatile time. So we collectively agreed, okay, if there's an issue with the BCSO, we'll send a report to you guys, you deal with it, vice versa. What ended up happening is nothing. People don't get reprimanded.
They didn't want to reprimand their people because of LSPD, and
they're not bringing stuff to us. I only say this because there are no reports that showed this is happening.
They verbally bring it up though?
Possibly, but the whole point is that it was a written report, so that way we could track it. And from all I can see, this isn't happening. Maybe it's happening verbally, but to my knowledge, it's not. So essentially, I'm responsible for an entire police department when they are operating within Los Santos County, but have no authority over them. So I approached BCSO High Command and I said, look, this isn't working. Can we go back to cross-departmental punishments or disciplinary action? That way we can deal with things quickly. And, because, and we're still on this, there is a lack of people doing basic police work, evidence collection, processing, the stuff like there's no excuse not to do it. And I am at the point of saying, if people aren't doing the basics, send them off duty. Like if they don't want to do their job when they're on duty, they can do the same when they're off duty, But I have to get BCSO on board with this because I can't just apply this to LSPD. That doesn't make any sense. And BCSO primarily operates within Los Angeles County. They were very much against it. They said basically just send them off the scene, but I don't think that will resonate as much and have such an impact. And I need this to be impactful. So the conversation, it was the four of us, the sheriff, the undersheriff, myself, and Peters, did not go well. So then Eric, who is very good at communicating with people and usually has a very level head, said, I'll go and try to talk to them. And he said, okay. So the two of us went up there and we tried to speak with them. Pretty much the same exact conversation happened. Which during the conversation, Aspen Gray said, we brought it up to our command. It was a resounding no. And, at the end of the day, it's Matei or Radich's call. But, if he wants to change our department into a dictatorship, that's his decision. But our command said no, so it's a no. And I will admit, I kind of crashed out on them. And I said it is extremely disrespectful to speak about the sheriff in that way. And I felt disrespected in the fact that I had to defend the sheriff against his own department.
What do you mean by crash out?
I mean, I definitely raised my voice a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
By like maybe one octave, just
Okay. Did they agree that the basics of police work should be happening?
Listen, I needed to
they agreed that this should be happening, but we didn't really
don't know
agree
if I've ever
at
seen
that
how
time
she's
on a solution to enforce it. I think I'm going to bring it up again.
Yeah.
I think this is something that needs to happen, and I'm going to keep pushing for this. Because like I said to Nino, at the end of the day, the buck stops with me. If they're operating within Los Angeles County, it is my responsibility. They're not they're not the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. They're the Blaine County operating in Los Angeles, and I am the chief of police in Los Angeles. If they fuck up, it falls on me.
Well, I'm not sure how jurisdictions work around here, but it seems like both departments are not on the same page, which is very unfortunate because you're all going to have each other's back out there. You got to have each other's back out there, right?
I'm hopeful we can get there.
That they'll have your back?
I think on the field they do have people's back. I think they do. I think that these more administrative situations are where we tend to disagree.
Yeah. There is a little bit of context there. When a crime occurs in one county, it becomes the jurisdiction of the county the crime happened in.
That makes sense. All right.
Where you process a suspect as a that particular department gets a 25% cut. So if someone is charged $10,000 fine at Mission Row PD, PD gets $2,500. Fines today can amount up to $250,000 to $500,000. Like a gang-related shooting, right? Can be like $250,000 per suspect.
Wow.
So there is a direct incentivization over jurisdiction, right? Because that directly, well, that directly influences, the particular PD's budget, what vehicles you can get, what upgrades you need. Upgrades can cost up to like $500,000 depending on what you're upgrading with, right? So there are those factors in play, right? And that's aside from that's like the economic side of things. There's also the political and the ideological things that are at play as well, right? So
of course the department needs budget, needs money, needs equipment, needs food, water, repairs, needs all the essentials.
But just real quick, Moss Peters, do you disagree, or was that a pretty accurate summary?
No, I think that's how it is.
So essentially if something starts in the city, it leads to the county and ends in the county. Is there a sort of back and forth?
No, it's still the cities.
It's supposed to come back here, but is there a back and forth?
I had actually requested that the legislation be amended to say the jurisdictional authority is where it starts. So if it starts here and goes up to Blaine County, LSPD still has jurisdictional authority over that incident because it originated here. So theoretically, the suspect should be processed here, but we're not always like so heavy-handed about exactly where people are. A lot of times it's just who is available to process, and if a BCSO deputy takes them, they take them up to Blaine County.
Yeah.
I just want to verify that's what it is right now. The legislation states that, or that's what you want it to be?
No. That is what it states.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so where's the problem coming up then? Is that they're go for it.
Well,
I brought it up originally because I feel like the reason it was brought up is because I feel like that's an extreme of what we were dealing with. That's essentially what we had to deal with in the past. But now BCSO is kind of like dealing with it now. I don't know what the fuck we're supposed to do about this situation. The ultimate solution that we came to was, look, we want to work together. If you guys don't want to work together, that's fine. If BCSO is fucking around down here and I see it, I'll send them off duty, or I'll send them up north to go patrol. I can't fucking do anything. Yeah. But if they continue to come down here and not listen to what I have to say, I'll just fucking pull your keys, and then you guys could rehire them.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's an extreme that we don't want to resort to, pulling people's keys. I don't even really want to send people up north, but we're at a point of like, if a BCSO deputy is doing something down here, we can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. May I add one thing? You said where there's another thing here is, if a different department, I'm going to use an example from 3 months ago. Cyprus, an individual from the gang down in Cyprus had a hit out on a sheriff. As a consequence of fucking around, let's call it, there were twats going out from within Senior Buns, where the stalls are, saying, come and get us. Or other things that were very baity towards a gang. The problem with that is that became a matter of public safety for me, right? Me seeing that. But as a consequence of this, I could not go, I'd come and talk to LSPD command and be like, there's got to be a stop to it. But even that couldn't be resolved because there was no ability to have authority. I'll give you a second example. is that if an incident or a procedure is taking place in the manner that fleekas are getting handled or whatever law enforcement need there is, if I'm getting feedback from the public and there's a desire like, hey, you know, let's, I'm using an extreme here, things need to be a little different, maybe Hell Week, right? There was Hell Week down in the south side, right?
Hell Week.
Hell Week is when gangs decide that they're so mad that they're going to start killing cops indiscriminately, and it's a byproduct of they get to a point where they feel like that's the only way they can express themselves. Myself and Peters tried to de-escalate. We wanted to understand, where is this happening? We want to stop the bloodshed. After speaking to them, and then later Moss having a conversation with them, we were able to de-escalate that situation. But in the back of all of this occurring, there was attempts by the other department to effectively make it happen. So these sort of things do present themselves, right? Where...
Well, let me just make sure I heard that right. You
Sure.
said the other department is trying to make...
This is like 3 months ago. Yeah. But I'm using some of the more...
We're supporting the Hell Week.
Yes. Welcome to San Andreas.
These so-called officers, if that's even what you want to call them.
Yeah.
Are they still employed?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I was virtually
Are you
executed.
sure you want to take this on, Turner? After hearing all this?
Well, why are they still employed?
They were protected by the marshals that were corrupt.
Oh God, that was a whole different thing. Yeah.
But
Okay.
they were protected because when Peters, I will tell you right now that when me and Peters went to go speak to these crews, which ultimately everything got fixed. We understood their problems, right?
Crews being gangs, right?
These gangs, yeah.
Okay.
We stopped it. We stopped the violence. In fact, when Daisy and I met with them the next day, they said, we actually really appreciate this. Let's set up another meeting. I've never been in San Andreas where other gangs are like, let's keep communicating. That's probably one of the best things you could hear. But the thing is that immediately even someone caught wind what the hell is going on, we were within 15 minutes contacted by the marshals. It was being investigated.
How many reports, like separate
And then the
reports, did
next
we
day,
have filed against 40 something?
The next day after the Hell Week stopped, these fucking dumb fucks pulled out tanks. The marshals. And fucking opened fire on the hospital with that level of indiscrepancy. We were dealing with a fucking disaster.
Oh yeah.
What are these?
That iteration of the marshals.
They are gone.
It's
That's
gone.
done. It's done.
It's gone.
Okay.
It's-
But
Thank God.
The
but yeah.
remnants of this, and the reason we bring it up, is the remnants of this still exists, and some of the resentments that have from there are still somewhat present. Things are 100% gotten a lot better, right? Even from my observation, I'm sure you guys would agree. But some of those resentments still exist, right? Some of the destabilization that Moss and Peters are discussing, reasons for not having time for training or not having time for this, is a lot of that is there was no time. Like, you know?
This didn't end till like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like
by the way, Nathaniel Grayson is going to do training modules next week.
Yeah.
For court subpoenas and search warrants.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I think we're getting off topic. I mean it's
Yeah. I think
God you
the
missed that.
context is definitely good, right? And can I just say that I feel like this conversation's been very healthy, and I think this is good. Yeah.
I mean, we've been standing here for quite a bit of time. I think it's probably good we all stretch our legs a bit and maybe convene a bit later or another time. But yeah, I mean, just got to keep at it, you know. It's never gonna be perfect. There's always gonna be things to fix, things you can do better. So tackle one at a time and keep on trucking.
I appreciate the candor, guys, honestly.
Yeah. Before we sort of conclude here, I think it's important for me to ask, with what I'm seeing here, this is kind of what I'm hoping for, right? Turner being seen as a resource rather than anything else, right? And I don't want it to be anything more than that, genuinely. If there was any thought in my mind that, Moss, you were not the right person for the job, you saw what happened to Tilly, right? I make those decisions quick. But I genuinely think that you are quite frankly, the only candidate across the entire board that is going to be willing to take on all the fucking bullshit and still show up. You've survived longer than Pred. You've survived longer than Bones. You've survived longer than Cassidy. You've survived longer than Barrick. You survived longer than Ruby. And that right, and dealt with 5 times as many problems. So I do see that.
Commendable.
Survive longer than Turner.
That was not necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I'm not throwing you under the. Okay, sorry. I was trying to make.
But it's true.
I was trying to, trying to lighten the. It's been a very heavy meeting. I just, I apologize.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why did you step down?
Oh.
Truthfully,
what happened?
The mayor overstepped heavily. He didn't like the way things were going, which rightfully so. Mayor stepped in, and it became his department. It was overstepping, and unfortunately, I had some, not to pawn it off on it, but some health issues come up that I needed to tend to, and it was in my best interest at that time to step away, as I was not able to perform my duties to the extent I felt comfortable with.
Is that what happened with Ruth and Slacks?
Oh.
To be honest,
Slacks committed a crime.
What?
Oh. Yeah,
what kind of crime are we talking about?
We'll talk about that afterwards. Yeah. I think it is important to point out, since Nino Chavez always oversteps, I am the boss of the LSPD. It is the constitutional requirement that I take on, as not only underlined by the governor of San Andreas, but the Constitution that was by the justice that wrote the Constitution and was clarified very clearly to me by the marshals yesterday. Just in case anyone tries to associate me with Max, I'm not going to come in there with automatic firearms and chase down Changang for my own, wishes. At least not yet. Maybe the last week.
something I do like, and I don't know if this is or isn't happening. I just want to put my 2 cents in there as well right now. Is the relationship between the mayor's office and the LSPD, from what I've seen, appears to be, for the most part. Do you need to go?
I should go.
I have to go as well.
There are a ton of cops on duty right now. I think they will be probably fine.
Yeah.
I gotta
right.
step away, guys, but I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah. Michael, we'll link up in a bit, yeah?
We'll catch up. Yeah.
Take care, Michael.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.
They're already like 10 cops there.
Okay. The relationship.
It's code 4. Suspects down.
Good. The relationship that the mayor's office has, that I've seen already in the brief time that I've been around lately, with the LSPD is much healthier than it was, and when I was around. It was more of a dictatorship dealing with the prior mayor, and instead of, if there's an issue with LSPD, I would imagine, the mayor brings it to you and it becomes your problem, and then you let it roll downhill. You talk to your captains, your lieutenants, your sergeants, right? And you get to the core of the issue, and you fix the issue that the mayor brought up to you. The problem with the mayor that we dealt with was they started at the bottom and directly tried to fix issues themselves within the PD without bringing it to the chiefs, or captains, I should say, the captains, and it created a lot of resentment, a lot of problems. Essentially, I just want to say I think this is a very healthy relationship from my point of view.
I do have some. I have some.
We
questions.
are engaged.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yep. Still hasn't got me a ring.
So when would you be around?
I could be pretty flexible.
Is your intention to patrol or to?
No.
No, you don't want to.
Not in the sense that I'm actually enforcing law. And frankly, I don't think it's a good look if I go to officers and ask how their command's doing. That would break trust in them having trust in you, right? I don't think it's a good look. I don't think it's good to ask every officer, what do you think of your command member? Be honest. That's not a good look.
Yeah.
So
Running back to the martial audits.
Why don't we just?
You know about that?
Why don't we just poach him, make him captain of shift 3?
No.
Well, hold on a second.
We're not getting rid of Skyfae.
I didn't say we were going to get rid of her.
She's the captain of shift 3.
Guys,
Okay.
let's lock it in. Let's lock it in. Sorry, Turner, go ahead.
I don't think it'll be good to talk to. We haven't, if I'm going to be honest, and we're going to be honest with each other here, we haven't even entailed what my role is going to fully entail. We haven't gone through that. I do want to help.
Yeah.
However I can. Whether you take my insight or anything I provide and use it, that's up to you. And that's up to the mayor. I think going to officers, to sergeants, to senior it just doesn't give a good look to any of you and your command staff. So I prefer, for the most part, it sticks to us 3 right here.
Four. I
Sorry.
actually have a request.
All right.
We don't know how things are going to look with the BCSO moving forward because they have a new mayor, which means they will more than likely get a new sheriff. But the one consistent thing that I think Peters and I have dealt with is we struggle to see eye to eye with BCSO. As we have mentioned, I think you can take that from this conversation.
Right.
I have, officers have mentioned, like, obviously I know you from when I was in Skeleton Crew, but officers bring you up from time to time, and they always speak extremely highly of you. I don't know, Nino, tell me to shut up if I'm overstepping here.
No, look, this is a safe space. I want you to be open and honest, you know?
One thing that maybe Captain Turner could help us with is the communication between the two departments.
Agreed. In fact, that was something that is on my short list. I wasn't expecting y'all to see Turner.
I'm not asking him to be like the moderator in the back and forth, but somebody there that is maybe impartial, that when shit gets heated between us, he can maybe help us get back on track and find a solution.
And I think I agree. I think my plan, candidly, was to have a conversation with her. And I'm actually glad that this happened in advance. Was let's have some things that, like,
if you would be open to that, Turner. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that maybe you don't want to do. But that is, I know, an area which we struggle with.
I would be willing to try to bridge that as long as the mayor of Blaine County and his command staff with the BCSO. It's BCSO, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, his as long as they were on board as well, right? This can't be something anyone's forced into.
Yes,
it's just going to create resentment, and nobody's going to want to be part of it, and they're going to be silently just, yes sir, no sir, and moving along with it. They got to be on board for it. I think that'd be something that would come down to the mayor here to talk to the mayor of the Blaine County to get him on board.
Yeah,
and he'd have to get his staff on board.
Absolutely. We can, I think that
Unless
is something
Peters
we can...
gets elected sheriff, then I'm going to blow up the BCSO. That's a joke.
Yeah.
I'm not actually going to do crime.
I was going to... Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. I think that's something... I want Turner to be y'all's resource, and if that is an area that can help, abso-freaking-lutely. You know what I mean? Like, I think going back to it, is wherever he can help, especially someone coming in without the history, without having the baggage of what all of us had to deal with over the last 6 months. I think his observation is going to be insightful, not just due to experience, but just coming with a clean slate.
And I will say this. Obviously, it is Nino's final decision on this. But what I would say is, you've heard if you were to come in that kind of capacity, you've heard what we had to say about it. I would recommend that you go and speak to BCSO and hear their side too.
Yeah.
So that way you don't have
interdepartmental.
You have the whole story. And because their experience,
let's not lose sight,
their own, and what I mean.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if they're open to the idea of it, and
that's good, but it's not the highest priority. We got to pick Inter.
I would be I'd be willing to hear it out and see if we can mend this.
Okay. Easy.
Y'all got to be on the same page. Y'all got to be working together out there. Everybody's got to do their part.
There is. I mentioned this before, but right now, the focus of the police department is higher standards.
I didn't miss it. I heard it.
We need officers.
What? I didn't react.
To, frankly, just be doing the basic police work. We need them to be stepping it up, and we are reviewing, officers and their conduct and just their, do they know the foundations of policing? Are they a right fit for the police department? So that is how I am kind of operating moving forward, is focusing on this and making sure that we're elevating standards, but with elevating standards, holding people accountable too. But accountability is also needs to fall on us to correct and teach people if we see something wrong. But that's why I need BCSO on board, because I think it has to be a joint effort. we can't just focus on LSPD and then, you know, ignore the wrongdoings or misdoings of the other department, because those kind of habits, they're going to leak over one way or another.
I believe it will require joint effort. I think we're definitely getting ahead of where we are right now. We're ahead of it right now, but
yeah, I
working together
would,
out there is huge.
I would agree. I do think one of the focus areas, right, that so I'm gonna throw something here, and this is, you know, like I said, we're still workshopping this. I think the idea of bringing him in any command rank is gonna be moral-wise a disaster, right? It's gonna be.
You talk about me?
Yes. Yeah.
No. It can't happen.
Absolutely. It's gonna be. I keep calling the LSPD. It's a Jenga tower that's been played for some time, right? And moving any piece has dramatic effect, right? Whether it's people crashing out, dooming for fun, stirring, whatever it is. And I think bringing him at any command capacity is going to cause a lot of problems. Nor is that make any sense. Equally, what I would propose here is the role of inspector, or whatever you might want to deem it. And the primary role for the time being would be observation and providing recommendation. And that recommendation would come either directly to high command or command as you please, and would be documented. And I myself would not hold you to taking it, neither would Turner, but this is, once again, he would operate as a resource. As time progresses, if you and Turner find that there is more need, or there is more value in him, you know, taking another role, that would be y'all's prerogative. So is that what I'm sort of workshopping here? Like something you're interested in?
That makes sense.
Okay.
I think this will be good. I just want to make sure that this is engaging and something that you will get. I can't think of the word. I'm getting dementia. That you are going to get something out of this too, Turner.
Wait.
It's
syphilis.
It can be a lot. You know, it's kind of a heavy burden to bear, and I want to
Trig
make
might
sure
have
that
syphilis.
you don't go into this or go out of this just being like,
syphilis
holy shit.
affects the
Like,
brain, if you don't know that.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
The burden's not on me. The burden's on both of you right in front of me.
Yeah.
They don't look to me for leadership in the LSP. They look at both of you. I'm again another resource, just to help y'all with whatever I can. I would like to see the department flourish. I'd like to see, truthfully, I'd like to see both LSPD and BCSO working together, law enforcement as a whole. So that would be enough to satisfy what I want to accomplish here.
Commissioner Turner. I'm only kidding, Turner. I'm not going to throw the don't
blood sugar here. I need to eat one of these churros.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you need some food or a drink or?
No.
All right. Hey,
no, I got these strawberry stuffed churros. Or churros stuffed with strawberries.
I got a bunch.
Pretty good.
This bunch. Oh, man.
Okay. I thought this was very productive. Look, we're going to try to make sure we get something on paper so that we can send it y'all's way. And then, you know, I cannot stress this enough, is that I do not want y'all to feel pressured at all with any of this. This was my attempt to say, what can I possibly do to help assist? And, you know, I sent my good friend here, big fan of our mechanic shop back in the day, a call, and we had a conversation last night, and there's no rug pulling, you know. So,
yep.
I thought I was gonna get to go do puzzles on the beach. Still got this job.
Hey, you know, that's incentive to raise them up, right? You never know. It could be, you know.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you for your time, Captain Turner.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate it. I appreciate your willingness to work with us and listen to us ramble on for a few hours about everything.
Absolutely. You can call me Wyatt or Turner. You don't need to call me Captain. I'm not a captain anymore. Appreciate it.
The respect is still there, regardless.
Understood. Yeah, and I appreciate both of you. I know it's not it doesn't feel good to have somebody tell you you're doing a bad job, or not necessarily doing a bad job, but you know, here's someone who can help you. I
have
know
to get
that
through
feeling.
all these in a minute.
But it appears your heads are definitely in the right place, and you know, we all want the same thing. So that's off to you there.
Nino, can I talk to you for just a moment?
Yep.
Did you get what I was putting down about the Maxwell Marshall's political comment? Like the roadmap thing?
Run it back?
I'm trying to do the roadmap for Maxwell, like we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
You got what I was trying to say? I was trying to sort of say it in
I think
a
so.
loose way.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I genuinely think that sort of thing should be for everybody, even, you know, so even encouraging Maxwell to do that with others, right?
Yeah, no, and I will. I think it's kind of one step at a time, right? I spoke with Maxwell for over an hour this morning, and I didn't want to like bog her down with too much.
Yeah.
But I think the next step is, okay, how can we elevate your command members?
Agreed. You know what the word is? Career building. You know, I think the phraseology we're using in the past, it sounded like the intent was to rank up people, but it's actually career building, right? The rank is
right.
like a separate idea, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think? You think Peters is on board with this, with Captain Turner?
I cannot read Peters anymore because he might be listening, he might be agreeing. I genuinely think that, if you want my honest opinion, I think there needs to be more honesty. I think there is still some, you know, Peters is your attack dog, right? And there are going to be times where he's opened up about things, but even I don't know if it's like in the moment, is it like a long-standing thing? And this kind of goes throughout everybody,
I asked him
right?
how your guys' conversation went last night, and he called you the Riddler.
No, there was no Riddlers. I think that was I'll tell you what I said to him yesterday is it was very similar to our conversation, but I was at least 3 times as more stern. And I brought up things like, because On Fire was there, and he was like, oh, you know, he was pre-crying, right? Like actual pre-crying, like he was already defensive. I wanted to just, let's talk about what the third term is going to look like, you know? And I'll tell you, the reason why I got stern was because we have to have these serious conversations, right? This is our responsibility at the end of the day. I'm on the hook for it. You're on the hook for it. It sucks. But, you know, it's good at the same time. Anyways, I told him, I told him, he's like, oh, we're doing everything we can do. And like, I've been around, and I'm like, we have to face reality, right? You weren't around. I, at times, wasn't around. We have issues. We have to tackle them head on. And I did bring up training, and he's like, yeah, we're training now. And I'm like, On Fire, do you feel like you've been trained? And you could tell the answer was no. And so a lot came out in that conversation. And The intent wasn't to put him on blast. Even our conversation yesterday, the intent isn't to put anyone on blast, but we have to open those lines of communication to see what the problems are. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Yeah.
The Frost lawsuit. I am of the mindset just to reach out to Robin and pay him out and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
You have any issues with that?
Hey, your choice. You know what I mean? It sounds like a headache to me. Just throw him some money, tell him to suck a dick.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking. If he wants an apology, I guess I could write down, I'm sorry that we didn't feel like we could trust you and fired you.
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm just talking about Frost.
Okay.
Turner would be a good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
we're just, we recently fired what's his
You said you remember Frost, Jimmy?
Yeah, I hired Frost.
Well, we fired him.
What do you do?
Peters, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, there was this whole thing, like Frost has never been, I mean, so this is the thing, right? With people not liking us, like, I've barely had any fucking conversation with Frost himself, and for whatever reason, I don't even know why, but there's clear distaste on his part of people that are current members of command. And basically we had the biggest bust we've ever had. And the way it was done was people decided to run their mouth instead of helping individuals such as Maxwell. Maxwell stepped it up along with somebody who used to, Den Shiesty got fired, by the way. I know you know him.
I tried firing him.
There's
Yeah, he got a felony, so there wasn't really anything I could do about that.
Felony? Well,
It wasn't it was a violation of a court order. He was summoned to court, didn't show up. They gave him a felony.
Yeah.
TLDR, we had a bunch of sensitive information regarding a raid and the way it was conducted and contents of it. And Jimmy Frost decided to just go start telling everyone on the street about it at robberies.
No, everyone's
okay.
To our knowledge, he told one person.
He told somebody, and then also from what we understand, someone on scene confirmed that he said, "It doesn't matter. The rest of the police force is corrupt. Why can't I be corrupt?" Was his justification for the whole thing. And then the marshals conducted the whole investigation. It was Richard Dark. I don't know if you know him or not.
I do, yeah.
But Richard Dark is I feel like out of all the marshals, he's probably one of the only ones I trust. And he just recommended him being fired, and boom.
Yeah.
It wasn't boom. We dragged our feet on it.
I wasn't around.
That was a mistake on our part. We took too long, but we did eventually fire him.
What was the reason for dragging the feet, or just a delay?
I think I was kind of waiting for Peters.
There's two things. So the marshals conducted an investigation. I was gone on my holiday, and then when I got back, it's kind of like when I got the details. For whatever reason, I don't know why nobody else was given the details, but it was given to me, and then yeah, my fault.
Well, I mean, live and learn, I guess, right?
All right.
I think he
I
feels
feel like
he
this
was
meeting has shown how
unjustified.
good of this decision was.
And he's suing us for $100,000, and I'm just of the mindset just to give him the money and tell him to fuck off.
Easiest 100,000 ever.
Yeah.
Pay him off. Got rid of a bad officer.
Yeah, why don't we just go to court over it?
I mean,
If it costed 100,000 to get rid of a bad officer every time,
I don't want to
that'd be
really entertain this.
I mean, it's literally an at-will. So, like, what's he gonna say? Hey, this is an at-will state. Like, there's no labor laws.
I could fire Peters because I don't like his hat. you know?
That's right. There is no labor law, is there?
And it's like to be sued over this is kind of I don't know. I mean, maybe it's better that we don't, so there's no precedent being set.
Well, you think that'll set precedent and get labor laws enacted?
Fuck no, I don't. But I don't
know. We don't want to get into the I don't know. I have to think about it. I don't know what the best way to go about this is, because are we now facing anytime somebody is let go a lawsuit? Possibly, one way or another.
Just pay them out then. Yeah,
I mean,
severance pay.
If you fire anybody, they're always going to try to, find a way to make a buck out of it, right? That's what everybody's about these days, is suing and making money. But that doesn't mean they're going to get the money, right? It may not, 100,000 may not be worth. I'm not sure what the budget looks like nowadays. But it may not be worth the headache.
I think we got like 10 million. Did you give us money, Nino?
10 million?
I always give you money.
You know how much shit I got back?
You're
in the
still
day
asking for a bigger ring. I gave you a department. I gave you a huge budget. I gave you a Christmas gift.
I don't know why a ring is such a big deal. Do I have to go buy my own fucking ring? You know what? I'm gonna walk myself over to the store and buy a ring.
Okay.
10 million.
You know, there's gonna be one at the court center. All right.
Oh, there's one in the courts. Oh, now there's a ring.
Yeah.
Now there's a ring.
I got you an entire, jewelry store at the court center, but it's open on Friday.
Ring shopping. Okay. All right. Are we good? You're gonna go,
okay.
Are you good, Your Majesty?
Hey, I think this is a good closing point. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We've been standing here for a while. It was a great talk, and I look forward to seeing how I can help.
Yes, thank you. Me too.
Let me give you all my number. If I can get yours as well, please. My number is 420.
One moment.
All right.
All right.
420-828-8946.
All right. Whenever you're ready, I can give you my number.
I just texted you my name.
I'll text you too. It's a good idea.
Perfect.
Very efficient.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Why are you showing off, Peters?
What's your first name, Peters?
Tyler.
All right, I texted you as well. My full name.
All right, thank you there, Moss. Got it. All right.
All right. I need to call Eric because he texted me and said, I need my job, or I need my job. Please don't fire me. I need money to support my new hobby. What does this mean?
It's an officer?
It's a captain.
Oh.
All right. Thank you so much.
He's got a
Captain
tumor
Turner.
in his.
Thank you both.
Oh yeah. Make sure he checks for syphilis, because that does affect.
Eric has syphilis?
Apparently, Tilly gave it to him.
You have syphilis?
Wait, you know she was sleeping in the back of her car with Craig, right?
I'm sorry?
You didn't hear about her in the back of the car with Trig?
Who?
Moss?
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Peters, how do you feel about this?
I think it's good. I said from the start, I think it was good. I wasn't opposed at all.
Okay.
To any of it.
I'm only asking because you were kind of quiet for the last little while. So I don't want you to like hold the feelings back, right? If you're like, yo, this sucks. I hate this. Fuck Nino. You know what I mean? I'd like to know that, right?
No, I don't. I mean, I openly say that to your face, you know?
I don't think you have.
I did text you and I said, stop pre-crying during the meeting.
Yeah, but you're not even using it, right?
Well, I did it.
Yeah.
I think that if I have an issue, I would speak up But when it comes to Moss, obviously I'm not gonna. Nobody's ever gonna agree with 100% of the things she said, but I'm not gonna ever go against her. I'm gonna support her in whatever she decides. I try to sway her a certain way, and where I can, I think it's good. But I think on other issues, she's got to be kind of the one that makes the call, and then I support it. If I think it's absolutely horrible, then I'm going to say something.
Yeah,
okay.
I think you both should be pretty honest with each other behind closed doors.
Yeah,
should be unified and have
I
the
mean,
same.
I
agree
am.
publicly,
But she kind of like holds to her words, right? Like, I mean, I think the whole Ruby thing, I've been very open and transparent about that, but I think she has a different opinion, and I just told her, look, like I don't like Ruby, but that doesn't mean I can't have like a working relationship with her and do whatever is required. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If she thinks that Ruby is the best fit for that position and I disagree, I think that I can professionally disagree, keep my fucking mouth shut, and just continue doing my job.
Well, you can also try to see eye to eye with her too, Ruby, that is, and try to improve that view of her.
With Ruby? Yeah, I don't necessarily think you're wrong. It's just anytime I try to have a conversation, there's some sort of passive aggressive bullshit that comes along, and
it's easy for me to say that sitting here. It's probably a bit different in person. So
yeah,
understand.
I mean, I think professionally, like again, I think professionally, I do fine, but listen, we're all entitled to our opinions.
Absolutely.
Opinions are like assholes. Want to see your sisters.
Opinions are like assholes. What was the other part about sisters?
I want to see your sisters. I think that's the saying, right?
Your asshole wants to see my sister?
Never mind. I think I'm getting it wrong. But yeah, respectfully, I think I can have different opinions. But ultimately, I'm there to support Moss and do all that jazz.
Okay. All right. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna pull Turner aside and just get some of this stuff cooking, and I'll have something for you and Moss. I'm gonna be honest, it's probably gonna be tomorrow at this point because I gotta soon.
What soon? The fucking Turner shit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. Well, let me know if you need anything, okay?
All right. Hey, I appreciate it.
My car's always open if you want to come out, or if you ever wanted to see shit.
Will do.